Yo, welcome back to the channel, boys and girls. In today's video, we are taking a look at Magene's brand new spider-based power meter called the PES P505 base power meter. That is a mouthful. So in today's video, guys, we're going to be talking about just who Magene is. We're going to be talking about some of the details on this brand new power meter, including the price, some of the specs. Of course, I am going to weigh out this power meter. Then I'm also going to take you just briefly through assembling this power meter that you see right here. And then I'm going to give you my thoughts on what I plan on doing with this power meter. So without further ado, let's begin. Okay, so as I mentioned in the introductory of this video, guys, this is Magene's brand new spider-based power meter. It's called the PES P505 base power meter. The retail on this power meter at the time of filming this video is $300 USD, and the chain ring arms, which you can purchase separately, that comes in at $75 USD. So basically for $375 USD, you are getting a spider-based power meter. You get the alloy crank arms as well as the chain rings. In my particular setup here, I went with a 5339 combo for the chain rings, as well as a 172.5 for the length of the alloy crank arms. And I do want to say with full disclosure that Magene, they did send this out to me for review. But as you guys know, if you have been following this channel for some time, I absolutely love what Magene is doing. So if you aren't familiar with who Magene are, so basically they are a company and a brand based out in China, and they offer up a large variety of different cycling products. Everything from wheels, which some of my favorite wheels as of today are from Magene. In fact, I have two wheel sets from Magene. They also offer up a really affordable radar light, which you see here. This is kind of gross, but this is actually the heart rate monitor that I use indoors when I'm training on Zwift. It's been very, very reliable. I haven't had a single dropout since using this for a year. And then Magene also sent me out this really cool bike light. It's called the, what is this thing called? It's called the L308. And what's interesting about this light is by using their app on your phone, you can basically display different designs on here, maybe like a star or like a heart shape, maybe even an eggplant. I don't know. We're going to find out. But yeah, I love what they do, and they offer up a lot of high quality yet items at a very affordable and competitive price. Now, what makes this particular spider-based power meter from Magene really interesting and special is because this power meter is based on Shimano's design. So it uses a 24 millimeter spindle, and the chain rings, even though they supplied them for me, these mount up identical to using Shimano's chain rings. And so just the whole system is intended to be used with a Shimano group set. And why this is interesting is because, as we guys know, if you've done any research online, you know that the Shimano based power meters, the spider ones, they aren't really that great. They're not that reliable, and they are very, very expensive. And so for myself, because I do like using a spider power based meter for different reasons, I basically am running the Quark/SRAM spider-based power meter on all of my road bikes, and they've been very reliable. They're pretty lightweight for what they are. However, the entire system for a spider-based power meter from Quark is going to run you about $650, maybe $700, and it doesn't even include the chain rings. So it's going to cost you about $750 all in to be able to use a spider-based power meter. And if you are running frames that are using BB86 as their bottom bracket standard, unfortunately, you're going to have to run a dub bottom bracket inside your BB86 in order for it to be compatible with the SRAM or dub power meter. And if you spend any time on the internet researching, you know that using a dub bottom bracket inside of a BB86, it's not the best combo. People will say that you might experience premature wear on your bearings, although for myself, I haven't had that problem. I'm running a dub bottom bracket on my Windspace T1500 frame set with the Quark power meter, and I have like almost 5,000 miles on that frame, and the bearings are still super smooth. But if that is an issue for you, or if you think that's going to be a concern, this is where this power meter is going to be very valuable, because you'll be able to run just a typical BB86 Shimano style bottom bracket, and then this will be easily compatible. So if you already are running Shimano cranks and a Shimano group set, then this is going to be simply a very easy plug and play. Now moving on to some of the specs of this power meter. Now I'm not going to go over every single spec because you can basically do that on the website itself, but just some of the notable things about this spider-based power meter from Magene. It uses a 4-bolt pattern. The BCD is 110 millimeters. So yes, that basically means that you are able to swap in whatever Shimano chain rings of your choice. The power range on this is, it goes up to 2500 watts. So obviously plenty of power for it to read. Of course, it does measure a cadence as well. So you don't need a separate cadence sensor for that. Now it does do a left-right balance, although it's more of an estimate because it is a power-based power meter. If you truly want very specific left and right power meter data, then you'll have to use something like power meter pedals. Of course, it uses ANT Plus and Bluetooth, meaning it'll easily sync up with your bicycle computer. Of course, it has a water resistance, and it uses magnetic charging. So with this, you don't need to replace the batteries inside because the battery is built in. And of course, it does come with the USB-C charging cable. So it's nice that you don't have to worry about charging up the batteries. And then the last thing on this is the Q factor on this crankset. It's similar to Shimano. It's 147 millimeters for the for the Q factor. And next up, let's go ahead and weigh out all of the parts for the spider-based power meter. Alrighty, boys and girls, you know what time it is. Let's go ahead and weigh out the power meter. But before we do, huge shout out to Otis Redding with such classic hits as Try a Little Tenderness. Drop, my, try a little tenderness. Okay, I'm sorry. I was having too much fun. All right, first we have is the alloy crank arms. We have 515 grams, 515 grams, all right? Okay, all right, put that aside. We got the bolts for the chain rings and such. That is plus 22 grams. So we're at 537, all right? Get that out the way. All right, next up we have the actual power meter, or the spider itself. Like that. We got 113 grams. So right now we're at 650. And last but not least are the chain rings. All right, so we got the first one, the big one. All right, 120. Plus the small one, the 39 tooth, plus 159 grams. 159 grams gives us a grand total of around 809 grams. So let's continue. So as you guys can see, everything all in weighs 809 grams. Now, this is actually identical to my SRAM/Quark power meter setup, which uses carbon crank arms as far as I knows, but that costs about $600 to $650 like I mentioned before, and it doesn't even include chain rings. So again, you're getting all this, what you see here, for basically half the price, yet the same accuracy, the 1.5% accuracy as the SRAM/Quark spider-based power meter. And next up, let's go ahead and put this thing together so you guys can see how to assemble it. It's pretty straightforward, but let's go ahead and do that right now. Okay, now before I go ahead and put everything together, I do just want to quickly discuss just some of the tools you're going to need to assemble everything. Now, I'm not going to do the full-on assembly on camera because that's going to take too long and that's pretty boring, but nonetheless, they do provide you with a tool in order to fasten this to the crank arm. And with that, you will need a bottom bracket tool. This one is a size 44 millimeters, and basically you're going to pop that in there like so, and this will allow you to come in here like that to fasten this down. You will also need a 5 millimeter torque wrench in order to torque down these bolts. These are the chainring bolts down to what's specified on this, 8 Newton meters. So chainring bolts are 8 Newton meters. I believe this to that is, I think it's 35 to 40 Newton meters. And then once everything is put together, this is when you actually go to install the full entire power meter with the chain rings and the arms to your frame through the bottom bracket. I believe this is a 10 mil Allen key that you will need to do that. So let's continue. Okay, so first and foremost, the crank arm goes like that into the actual spider meter, like that, like so. That's the first step. And then this, and what's really nice that Magene did is they actually put a little bit of Loctite on the threads, just to keep everything down secure. So then this is where you're gonna basically fasten this down, like so. It's just going in there. All right, cool, perfect. All right, now that we've finger tightened the thread, now this is where we would tighten this down to about 35 to 40 Newton meters. I kind of wish that it was not plastic, because plastic, the threads can strip pretty easily. All right, but that's okay. We'll just do finger tight like that. All right, do a little bit more. Perfect, cool. All right, so that's about 35 to 40 Newton meters. All right, next up, let's go ahead and install the chain rings. Now it's pretty easy to get it confused, but the easiest way to know how to install everything is on the front side of this chain ring. There is a chain drop retention pin on the other side of this, and this is what you line up with the crank arm. So this is where you line it up like so. And then when it comes to the small chain ring, you can see the words face on the outside. There is a little notch right there, as you can see right there. And so that little notch is where you line up with that same chain drop retention pin. So it lines up like this, and then this is where we install our chain ring bolts. Now, next up, now that we have the chain rings aligned, we can go ahead and install our chain ring bolts. And what's really nice about this is Magene also put a little bit of thread locker onto these bolts as well. So nice job, Magene, on that. And so to install these, they're two-sided. So this is the back side of the bolts, and then this is the front. And then you're going to be using a 5mm Allen key to fasten everything in place. And then once we get all the bolts, then we can torque it down to, what does it say? 8 Newton meters. Okay, and now that we have all the bolts in place, we do need to torque everything down. Now, I recommend tightening everything down little by little in a cross pattern. That way, this should help prevent any sort of creaking from the power meter or from the crank itself. But the recommended torque is about 8 Newton meters or so. So cross pattern when you tighten this up little bit by little bit, and then we should be good to go. And this is what the power meter looks like with everything installed together. So the next step would be to install the power meter onto your bike of choice. The first step would be to install the power meter side of the system in first. And then the second would be to install the other crank arm that you see right here. And also included, which I mentioned earlier, this is just a little preloading bolt. I believe it's 10 millimeters. So you don't need a lot of torque on this, because this is just a preload to take up all of the slack into the bottom bracket so that the power meter sits nice and neat without any slack to the bearings right there. And then the next step would be to tighten up this bolt right here. I believe this is a 5mm bolt, and then the torque specs on this is from 12 to 14 Newton meters. So yeah, guys, I'm super excited to get this on a bike. You're probably wondering precisely which bike I'm going to put that on, but stay tuned. Even though it's been a couple of months since I've last uploaded a video on here, just because my full-time job is taking up a lot of my time, and I am also training on the bike like 10 to 13 hours a week, so I don't have a lot of other time with, you know, of course, with other family responsibilities. But the good news is I have some very, very exciting stuff coming to this channel. Particularly, I do have a very special frame set that's coming very soon, of which this chain or spider meter is going to be put on. But I am very excited to use this. I've heard nothing but good things for this power meter as far as its accuracy. And I did let Magene know that in order to give you guys a full-on review on this, I will have to use this for at least a month or two. I don't want to do one, a single ride or two and kind of give you my data on that. I think it's only fair that I put in the miles with this power meter to make sure that it is accurate. And if this could actually be a bargain compared to the SRAM's spider-based power meter. And I do think that this is where, at this price point, this becomes a very compelling option. Now, if you are someone, maybe you're just getting into cycling, and of course, I think a power meter is one of the very first purchases you should make, even before upgrading your bike, so that you can train with power. Maybe you're just getting into road racing and you want an affordable option because the likelihood of crashing is significantly high and you don't want to have to be replacing $600 components. I think this too could be a very viable option for that. So anyway, guys, like I said, this was just an unboxing, just a first look. Stay tuned, as I will be installing this, like I said, on a very, very special frame set coming up soon. But as always, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave them down below, and I'm gonna check you guys on the next one. Thank you so much to Magene for sending this out to me. By the time this video comes out, I should hopefully have some sort of discount code for you guys. I think Magene is still sort of rearranging their discount system as goes, but nonetheless, thank you for sending this out to me, guys. Questions, comments, and concerns, please leave them down below, and I will check you guys on the next one. Thank you so much for watching. Peace.